everyone. I'm your host, comedian, magician, Danny Whitson. But it's all tricks aside, because tonight we're turning the paranormal into the normal. Join me as we explore the gray areas of reality. We're going to talk all things paranormal, UFOs, ghosts, cryptids, and aliens, and see how it's all connected. This podcast is brought to you by the Experiencer Support Association, and we are live. So if you're an experiencer yourself, or you're just plain nosy, be sure to send me your question and subscribe to the podcast. Now, get ready, because it's going to get deep. No, really, we're going to go way out there, because this is Beyond the Tinfoil Hat. What's happening, my paranormal junkies? Welcome to Beyond the Tinfoil Hat, and I'm your host, Danny Whitson. And like always, we are broadcasting live from the E-United Public Radio Network, the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, on 105.3 FM and the Gulf Coast and 107.7 New Orleans. Guys, we got some cool announcements we'd like to make right off the bat. Let's give a huge, big welcome for our new EA facilitator, Susan Dinsmore. You can head on over to the experiencersupport.org and check that information out. But yeah, let's give a big welcome to Susan. Welcome to Tessa. We look forward to seeing you do your stuff. Also, if you guys have not done so, check us out on Patreon at Heed the World. You can make a donation, just a little $4 donation. We'll get you a lot of really cool information from our very own Ryan Stacy. And speaking of Ryan, if you guys haven't checked his show out yet, check his show out, The Skeptical Sleuth, that streams live every Monday at 5 p.m. Eastern. Definitely want to check that out. All right. Now, today's guest is I've been trying to get one of these people on our show for a minute now, okay? And for some reason, finding a Bigfoot hunter, a Bigfoot investigator, is almost as hard as finding Bigfoot, apparently, okay? Apparently it is. These guys are tough to snag, but we got one. And we got a darn good one tonight, too. Yes, we do. Today's guest, he's an author, director, and animal photojournalist. He's traveled the world, immortalizing all kinds of people and their exotic wildlife companions. He's also got a documentary series called Searching for Sasquatch, which streams worldwide on platforms such as Tubi, Amazon Prime, and Plex. Jason has been investigating the lore of Bigfoot and cryptids since 2019 with only a camera and a flashlight. He jumps headfirst into the darkness, determined to solve the mystery of Bigfoot. I tell you what, guys, get your questions ready, because this is going to be a really good one. Let's get a big, warm welcome for Jason Kenzie. Oh, there he is.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking for a good Bigfoot hunter. I don't see anything that way.
Well, I tell you what, I think we got a darn good one. I'm going to be honest with you. I really do. I tell you what, Jason, if you don't mind, we gave you a nice little intro, I believe, but if you don't care, let the viewers know a little more about yourself.
So yes, for 20 years, I traveled around the world meeting people that live with the most amazing animals on this planet, from tigers, bears, alligators, kangaroos, monkeys, you name it, giant snakes, massive spiders. Ugh, I hate spiders, but but people just have these as pets. And I had a motto: if I'm going to photograph and interview you on your exotic animal, there can't be any cages. I have to be able to hug the animals, so to speak. And I did that for like 20 years. And I had a web series called Jason Kenzie's Animal Adventures. And I have probably about 400 of these little videos, these little documentaries of behind the scenes. So I learned a lot about animals. And, I've done other stuff. I I published British Columbia's very first pet newspaper.
Oh, wow.
I published 4 children's books. I even published a comic book called Searching for Sasquatch. And so in 2019, when everything kind of shut down and I wasn't able to do my animal adventures, I turned to searching for these big, huge cryptids. And I live in Vancouver, Canada, which is only an hour and a half away from Harrison Hot Springs, which is the epicenter of, Bigfoot or Sasquatch sightings. And I went and interviewed a bunch of First Nations people, some eyewitnesses. They took me deep. I went deep into the wilderness searching for these creatures. I found a lake in the middle of the mountains that had hundreds of footprints that went right through. And I took a drone and I droned it over top, and you could see all the footprints. And when you're standing on the ground looking into the water, you could see the toes. And now I'm not saying they were made by Bigfoot because, I wasn't there to see what made them, but I took the footage to First Nations, and they told me that I had found the migration path of these creatures that led all the way from Alaska all the way to California. So when I decided to put it into a documentary and called Searching for Sasquatch, and it blew up. And from there, I started going to these Bigfoot conventions and these festivals. And then Bigfoot, people that would go searching for these Bigfoot creatures would have me come in, and I would bring my camera gear and I would start filming us looking in deep in the forest. And I started making these documentaries, which I have about 14 of them now. And I got back from traveling. I took 2 months and I traveled around the States, and I filmed 5 more Searching for Sasquatch documentaries that I'm working on right now. So
now let me back up just a little bit. So growing up, were you always interested in animals? It sounded like you definitely kind of an animal person.
I started out as a photographer. So I did weddings and events. And then one day someone walked up to me. I was at an event doing photography, and he came up and said, "Hey, would you take pictures of my little dog?" And I was like, okay, sure. Because I was confused. I didn't know people would pay someone to take photos of their dog. So I'm like, "So you want to be in it?" He's like, no, just my dog. I'm like, okay, sure. And so I showed up and started taking pictures of the dog, and he started telling me some stories about his dog that really touched my heart. And that I after he told me some of the stories, I was like, wow, I wonder if other people have similar stories or interesting things about their dogs. And then I started doing pet photography with dogs and cats. And then one day, this guy contacted me and said, "I have a caiman, like 3.5 foot, 4 foot caiman in a aquarium that he built downstairs in his basement."
A lizard?
Well, it was a caiman, so like an alligator or a crocodile.
Okay.
And it looks like a crocodile. But it's about 3.5, 4 feet long. And I told my friends, I said, "My God, this guy has a caiman, like a crocodile creature in his basement." And my friends didn't believe me. He's like, "Why would someone want photographs?" And so I went and bought my first little camera, my video camera, because I was determined to videotape the experience, and I could show my friends, look, this really happened. And I went, and it was a success. I was like within 2 feet of this caiman as it would come up, and he was feeding it. And it just looked mean, and it was just the adrenaline. So then he turned out that he knew a lot of people with exotic animals. And he told me right off the get-go, "Listen, don't film me. And if you do, I will break your camera." That's pretty much exactly what he said. And I'm like, "Hey, not a problem. I'll just point that way." Okay. Just. So I always kept it, and he trusted me. And he told his friends, and then all of a sudden I got people that contacted me with giant snakes, huge spiders, and then in turn there was people in the States that had tigers and grizzly bears and kangaroos. So that was fun, like the joeys and the yeah, that was fun. And yeah, so many.
So
Lady
you've worked with everything.
Yeah, some Saskatchewan had 5 wolves as pets.
Now, let me ask you this question real quick, because I find a little bit interesting is, I've got dogs and cats, nothing exotic, but I feel like, animals are much more emotionally intelligent than what we can even really know, and especially our domesticated, pets. But, you worked with a lot of exotic animals. Have you ever picked up anything like that with them? Like, a real...
So I was kind of a skeptic on all that, especially, when people would talk about dogs, kind of sensing when their owner was going to be back.
Yeah.
And so I owned one of the largest doggy daycares at one time. I owned it for about 5 years. And then, so there was 3 dogs. And as I'm sitting here in front of you, and I know it sounds ludicrous and completely nut jobbish, but these 3 dogs, they knew when their owners were going to come pick them up within 15, 20 minutes. And I know what people want to say. Well, the dogs can sense the light and the sun, like the way that the sun is, and they would kind of know that their owners are going to come pick them up. These owners would pick up their dogs at all different times of day. They worked in the movie industry, and they had authority up in the movie industry, and they would come at different times of the day. They could pick them up at 12 noon, at 2 o'clock, sometimes right at 6, but every time, and I swear it's really weird, the dogs, one of them, like there was 3 different owners, but each dog, the dog would be by the window scratching and doing the little, and I would look at my business partner and say, hey, looks like Sally's owner is going to be here in 15 minutes. And sure enough, within 15 minutes, the owner would show up. It was the weirdest thing. So now when I hear stories of people saying that about dogs, I can say firsthand that I've experienced it. And it's
I'm a total believer. Total believer in it.
And if you think about it, if dogs can do this, I wonder if other animals, including, these cryptids known as Bigfoot. So I'm kind of a skeptic when it comes to Bigfoot. When I first started, I was about 20% believer of Bigfoot. After 14 documentaries and probably like 50 expeditions into the forest, and it's the stuff I've seen, the things I've heard, I'm probably 50% believer now. And the only reason why I'm a 50% believer and not 100% is because I haven't had that daytime sighting where, the Bigfoot comes out of the forest, walks up to me and kicks me in the ass.
Okay. So, and I'm the same place with you on that. I'm about a 50%. And I've seen a lot of stuff. It's hard for me to get on board and believe a lot. The best thing that I can give it, if I did not experience myself, is I will say that's interesting. Okay, that's the best. Now, I will say this though. I did see, and I don't even know the name of this video, but it was one of the best video footages I had ever seen. One of the most believable ones I'd ever seen. And most people would look at it as, you could watch the video, Jason, and you may have seen it, but somebody was filming driving past woods. And if they didn't tell you that there was something there, you would never see it yourself.
Yeah.
And when they paused, framed it, and you could see the figure of what looked like a Sasquatch standing there. And I thought, my God, there's something standing there. And and if it was, when you think of somebody who was putting on a monkey suit, their intentions would be to be full blown seen. This creature, whatever it was, its intentions was not to be seen, which by accident it happened, and I was like, wow, that is some really, interesting stuff. Now, Jason, we do get questions. I wanted to let you know, we've got our viewers. They will be sending some questions in here for you. We've got our very own Ryan Stacy here with Tessa. He said, any Bigfoot sightings in Canada?
Well, Ryan, I live close to Harrison Hot Springs, and so we have probably the largest number of sightings anywhere in the world of these Bigfoot creatures just in my backyard. And this is one reason why I went to investigate, because I talked to a few eyewitnesses and decided, hey, I'm going to start filming and interviewing them. And then it just led me from one to the next. And, even I've had some weird stuff happen in just down by, just in BC, just northern British Columbia, where I did a howl, and then I got a howl growl back, and then went running up the side of the mountain to get closer to where it came from, and saw something like black, probably about 200 feet away, and it looked very gorilla-like with the cone head. And the only reason I didn't get closer is because it was just about sunset, and there was a huge patch of Devil's Club, and they were pretty high. They were probably about 6 feet high Devil's Club. And I thought, well, I could slither around through it to get closer, but if it turned out to be a bear, which is a real threat, I would have to run through the Devil's Club. And, if I got this messed up, then I wouldn't have a job in radio, right? So.
Oh, well, I tell you what, that I don't, it's hard to dismiss anything, because so many cultures all over the planet have this story of a giant ape man type creature. And, like I hear a lot of stories on this podcast. I do. And I'm always intrigued about how many of them are so similar.
Yeah.
And the same thing, with Bigfoot. How many stories do you think could be mistaken by a grizzly or some big bear?
Well, I mean, yeah, there's probably a lot. A lot. I would probably guess, depending on where you are, because where I'm from, or where I live, we have a lot of tourists, like people who they stay on the trail, they go hiking in flip-flops, or they, they just, there'll be a family of them, and they'd be hiking through the forest, and they come from places in the world where they have never seen anything larger than a bunny. And so, yeah, when they come screaming out of the forest,
the idiots that go up and pet the bison,
exactly, yeah, exactly, and they all cute little bunny, cute little bunny, a little bigger than what I see in the magazines, but then you get lifted up into the air, and that's the end of that expedition. But yeah, I bet there's quite a few which get mistaken, and I wouldn't be surprised if other cryptids too, like Dogman, right?
Yeah,
they might be just Bigfoot creatures. Well, we know that people just want to say they're Dogman, right?
Well, I was thinking, okay, it's like you can drive down the road and see a field of tall grass, and there'll be several deer in there, and you won't see them. No clue, you won't see them.
Yeah.
But now this is something. What do you think about this? Because it's like, now nothing preys on bears in the wilderness except us, as far as I know. Now I'm no expert, but this is what I'm throwing out there. So most of the time if someone doesn't encounter a bear in the wilderness, they're kind of like in their own world. They don't, but with Sasquatch or Bigfoot, and so hard to catch, do you think there might be, would you think they would be like a top predator in their environment, or do they have this cloaking mechanism for a reason? It's master camouflage.
Yeah. Well, there's only one animal out there that is brave enough to take on a grizzly bear, and that is the wolverine. The wolverine might be
Yeah.
small, but those little guys, and they have been known to make a grizzly back down and run.
Wow.
So, but yeah, obviously the Bigfoots, they, you know what, I wouldn't be surprised if Bigfoots avoid the bears, right? Because even though a Bigfoot could probably take out a grizzly, it would be a huge match. Like it would be a huge fight with a grizzly and a Bigfoot. So you have to know something about animals. No animal on this planet, like especially, you know, like wolves, bears, any of these predators, the last thing they want to do is get injured trying to catch their prey, because a nick in the wilderness could lead to death,
That's
right?
right.
So that's why a lot of cougars and a lot of cats and even, you know, wolves, they'll come after you from behind, right? They come from above or they come from behind because they know that they don't want to, you know, they don't want to go head on. And so I bet grizzlies will probably avoid bears unless they know that the grizzly bear or the black bear is wounded or weak, right?
Absolutely. That it happens all the time. If it's weak, then it'll take advantage.
But
You know, something's
as Sasquatch literally going out and stalking grizzly bears to kill them to eat or whatnot, I think that would be the last predator they would go after because of that.
so would you think they would be more like meat eaters or herbivore?
Well, it's a hard one, but I've interviewed so many people who have said, like I've interviewed farmers who said that they've literally seen a Bigfoot walking into the forest with two cows under each of their arms. I've interviewed a guy who lost his dog. His dog got taken, and he saw the Bigfoot carrying the dog, and the Bigfoot turned around, and he said he was so traumatized because his dog wasn't killed, wasn't dead, and the dog just looked at it with big eyes, and he remembers seeing the eyes, and no, and he knew it was as if the dog knew that that was the last seconds of its life as the Bigfoot turned and walked off. And he said he couldn't sleep for days because every time he closed his eyes, he would just see his dog, which was like a yellow lab being
Oh
carried
my
on.
God, that's
So
horrible.
and I've heard, I don't know how
That's
many
horrible,
times,
Jason. That's horrible.
I don't know how many times I've interviewed hunters who have literally seen these creatures running after and catching deer or walking through the forest. Even I have found deer ripped apart and hanging from trees,
Oh my God.
like wrapped around and hanging. And I wish I had a ladder with me. I could climb up and get a better look. But, you know, when it's 30 feet up into the air, like up, you know, I can only see it from down on the
So,
ground.
what do you think? Do you think it's just another type of species that we've never? Because what was it? The 1930s, the 1920s when we discovered gorillas.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, do you think it's just another species of you know, some type of animal, or do you, and some people, a lot of people tend to connect it to almost like a paranormal
Yeah.
feeling. You
So
know,
I interviewed a lady who she does what is she channels this godlike being called Pax through her, and Pax writes books. Like she'll go into a trance, and this Pax paranormal, you know, will come through her, and she would write these books. And when I met her, I asked her, "Could you ask Pax what are Bigfoots?" And so the next day, she contacts me. She goes, "Pax has written to you what Pax is, what Bigfoot is." So I went to meet her, and I got this piece of paper that was really nice. Like the handwriting was perfect. And it basically said that the Bigfoot creatures were brought here by aliens, and the aliens used the Bigfoots as their worker ants, and these Bigfoot creatures got loose, or they escaped, and they were able to run off into the forest. And then these creatures mated with humans way back in the day, and through Geno and over the years. And so, and then at the same time, 2 years later, I interviewed another lady who can mind speak with these Bigfoot creatures.
Really?
And she told me that she was out in her backyard and she was communicating with these Bigfoot creatures. And all of a sudden, these Bigfoot creatures would run off, start running all over the place. And she's like, what's happening? And suddenly the UFOs come down in her backyard, like probably about, I don't know, 2,000 meters from her. And a beam of light would come down, and then they would drop these giant robot Bigfoots. I know it sounds really out of this world.
Oh, trust me. I've heard a lot, Jason.
Drop these Bigfoot-like creatures, kind of robots, and they were hunting the Bigfoots. So I asked her why are they hunting the Bigfoots? And she said, and remember, she has no idea that I had interviewed this other lady 2 years earlier. And so this lady said, they want their Bigfoot creatures that belong to them back, or they want to kill them off because they escaped. That's what she said. And when she said that to me, I'm like, wow. And I have this documentation. I have the script, like I have the paper where it was written by Pax, this godlike being, that says that they're alien pets. And so all of a sudden, there's two people that don't know each other 2 years apart telling me something very similar. So it's just really fascinating. I mean,
that's the crazy thing too, because you walk around and you hear these things, and Jason, you're hearing things that normal people every day do not hear.
No.
Okay. So you got this in your head, and I totally get it, because I hear a lot of stories on this show.
And they all have a pattern.
You just added to the collection too, by the way.
They all have a pattern. Like I've investigated in like 7 different states, Texas and Michigan and Kentucky and Wisconsin and Minnesota and New York. And I see base and British Columbia, the Rocky Mountains.
I'll tell you what, Jason, let me do this real quick. I don't want to cut you off, because we do got to get to a commercial break real quick. All right. We're going to give a shout out to our sponsors on the commercial break, and then we're going to be back. I want to pick right up where you said. And also I want to talk to you about some other creatures out there that you may have experienced. Guys, stay tuned. We got Jason Kenzie here. We're talking Sasquatch. We'll be right back after these messages.
Have you ever wondered, or maybe just thought to yourself, if there were others just like you? You know, people with extraordinary abilities, psychogenic advancement, and perhaps unique intuitions. Maybe you just wondered if there were other people who experienced unimaginable, unexplained, or even unusual and paranormal events. Are there people who have more questions, more fears than answers? Well, you're not alone. You've never been alone. We believe you. Sign up for EA today.
It's your property. Your assets are worth protecting. Blacklight Investigative and Surveillance Services specializes in patrolling and inspecting residential or commercial property against fire, theft, vandalism, terrorism, and illegal activity. People and buildings are monitored to prevent crime. Keep your property, your people, and your assets safe from threat. Our elite staff are dual licensed private investigators and security guards. Blacklight Investigative and Surveillance Services. Go to blacklightiss.com.
All right, guys, welcome back to Beyond the Tinfoil Hat. And if you're just now tuning in, we are here with Jason Kenzie, expert Bigfoot hunter. Now, Jason, sorry, I hated to cut you off there. I had to squeeze in there to get the commercial shout out in there. But if you don't mind, you were talking about kind of everywhere. You were naming places everywhere you were at, correct?
Yeah. So yeah, I've been to so many places, but it's interesting how I see very similar things and hear similar stories in all these places, and they're so far apart from each other, like similar tree structures, similar stories, and the howls and the roars and the growls and the eye shine of the creatures that just peek from behind the trees. Yeah, there's so many stuff that I've filmed, and you can see all this.
With some of these stories now, I would love to, interview people with have the, like what you get to do. To me, that just sounds super interesting. Is do you think is there still kind of like where people are afraid to come out and talk about it? Like it exists in the UFO world to where people are still afraid and nervous to come out and talk. And that's one reason why we got this podcast and experiential support where it's safe to come, tell your story. Yeah. Have you ran into people like, I just want a percentage of hunters, because a lot of your people who go out and hunt, especially where I'm from Tennessee, and you got these good old boys that they don't, bleed, ain't nothing going to scare them. No telling what they've seen that they're just too afraid to tell anybody about because they don't want to think they're, crazy.
Yeah. No, there's been a few people who, I begged them to come out and so I can interview them, but they would refuse. And sometimes they have like the best stories too. A lot of times people are okay going on camera, and it's interesting. That's for sure. I mean, I have this audio of this roar that was captured in Minnesota. Do you want to hear it?
Oh, wow.
So this was captured by a First Nations elder, like an old man, and his backyard, the forest was his backyard was forest, like 800,000 acres of pristine forest, and this is what he captured on his backyard. I begged him, so I wanted to interview him, but he refused to have anyone interview him because he didn't want people to ridicule him on it. So imagine this coming out of the darkness.
Oh, no.
Is that crazy? So
I'll play that. Get a needle up my butt with a sledgehammer.
You hear that last bit where it was like it basically was like, I told you. So I have another one that's 1 minute long, and it has like 5 or 6 of them captured the same night. And this one it's just crazy. Like you can hear them all talking, like howling back and forth, like in the back. If you listen carefully, you'll hear it. You heard that that one howl in the back. Give it a second. Sounds angry or scared. Give it a second. They all go nuts. Here it comes. And that's not coyotes. Now imagine that.
So this guy was. Where was this at, Jason?
So this is in Minnesota, and this was captured on
in Minnesota.
Yeah, the Indian Red Lake Indian Band, and so they have a huge lake, and around the lake is thousands and thousands of acres of forest that no one's allowed to go in. Like they don't allow people to go into their forest. Even they don't go into the forest, especially at night. When they go hunting for deer, they stay in their trucks, and they'll drive down the road, and that's how they do their hunting. They won't dare go into the forest. So when I show up with the she squatchers, we told them that we're going into the forest at night to see if we can find evidence, and they just totally thought we were crazy. In fact, I bet they were planning on, okay, search and rescue, be prepared. Okay. Some short, crazy blonde guy with these other people are going to be going into the forest at night, never to be seen again.
Now, if I heard something like that in the woods, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think I would ever go back in the woods ever again.
Well, I've heard that in real time. Like if anyone, looks up Searching for Sasquatch 5, the Texas Screams, we had so many of them howling and roaring at us and screaming at us all around us for like an hour. It was crazy. And I'm sitting there filming it. And it literally got to the point where it went on for so long that this is exactly what was happening, like closer to the end of the hour. So yeah, so what are you going to be eating? Going to be having some hot dogs? Oh yeah, that's another howl. Okay, so anyway, what about those hot dogs? We're gonna, like, it got to the point where they were just howling all around us that we got numb to it. We're like, okay, shut up! I'm trying to sleep. And they were just, yeah, it was crazy. And that you can find that in my documentary. You can find videos like my documentary where I walked up on something that was looking at me 7 feet high and it dropped to the ground. Loss of Einstein.
Why do you think at night is whenever they make their noise? Why?
Well, for one thing, I don't know exactly why they howl. For one thing, what has happened is we come driving up in our vehicle, and instantly when we stop to get out, there's a howl or a knock, as if they're telling him, hey, look, it's that stupid blonde guy. He's back. We're going to eat him first. But we're sitting around a campfire one time in Minnesota. We're in this area. We're investigating those sounds. We're looking to see for evidence. We've been sitting around the campfire, and we've been there for about a couple hours. Nothing's happened. Beautiful out. Stars. We're counting the shooting stars that were happening. And I stand up and I said, you know what? I want to do a howl. Obviously, a couple of the investigators I were with, they rolled their eyes and said, no, don't do that. It's stupid. You know, you just look silly doing the howl. It doesn't do anything. And I'm like, well, we've been here for 2 hours. Let me just do a howl. I want to look stupid. They're like, fine. So I did a howl as I'm sitting in front of you right now. Literally within like 30 seconds after I did the howl, we got a howl behind us. It was in the forest, probably 200 feet, watching us. Then all of a sudden, after that howled, they howled. And I caught that on film. I was actually in the middle of talking, like I howled, and I'm like, okay, there's nothing, blah, 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 blah. And suddenly it howled. And I'm like, oh. So what did I do? Me and one of the she squatchers, Tammy, went darting into the forest, looking to see what made that sound. The whole point of me telling you this story, I have no idea. No, just kidding. No, the fact is, if they didn't make a sound, we would never have known they were there. Right? So it makes me wonder why. Why make a sound? I mean, you could stand there for hours watching us. We would not know. We would not know you're there. So why make a sound? You know, it just confuses.
I mean, I don't think maybe they think of us as a threat then in that case, because if they.
Yeah, I think it might be either it's younger ones, just like us as teenagers. We used to, you know, jump out of window of our house, you know, trip on the roof, roll down, land on the grass, almost break your leg, stand there crying for an hour. That was good times. Good times. Maybe they're young. They're coming out, you know, and
what? Let me ask you, what is your opinion about how come we don't see more bodies, more, you know, carcasses of these animals, or have we found any? Or
well, it could be very similar to elephants. For years and years and years, they never found an elephant body until one day, a few years ago, they stumbled on a massive grave site of thousands of elephant bones, like thousands of full body skeletons. And they realized that the elephants, when they knew they were dying or sick, they would walk for miles and miles, days and days to get to this one area and lie down and die. And maybe these Bigfoot creatures do something similar. Maybe they go off into the mountains, into an area that they know that we don't go to, right? And they die. if someone
Now,
dies, they carry them, or you know.
how do you feel about this, Jason? Because we do live, in the day and age that we live, to where every soul has a camera on them at all times now.
Yeah.
What's your opinion? Can you think of one of the best video footage that you've ever seen of one that convinced you?
Well, that's a hard one, right? I mean, there is. That's a hard one. I mean,
well, I wish I knew the name of the one that I was talking about. I cannot remember what they named it, but like I said, they weren't even trying to capture anything. They just happened to be filming.
Just happened to be driving.
Yeah, just happened to be driving, and then there something that was trying to hide, and I was like, "Whoa!" I find stuff like that much more believable, much more, stronger type of evidence on video than some of the other. I've seen some things where I'm like, oh, I don't know. Is somebody just trying to get clicks and views,
You never know, right? I mean,
that's one of the tough things about, any type of video footage in the day and age we live in, is like, it's almost getting to the point you don't know what to believe. And that's not just in the paranormal world. That's everything, everyday life. Yeah. But the eyewitness sightings and the interviews and, the constant similar stories that you hear, that's enough right there that, you can't dismiss this as something that is make believe or just people's imaginations. I think that there's something to the Sasquatch and the cryptids. We've kind of talked about mostly on Sasquatch, which is the headliner of the show. But I wanted to ask you about like Chupacabra.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it's fascinating. I haven't really looked too much into that cryptid. It's interesting.
Well, I believe in it, and
have you seen one?
Absolutely, I believe. There's some really good video footage out there.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know about this blood sucking. The blood sucking and how it can drain the animal's blood within seconds.
Yeah. I don't know, but I think there is some myth with everything out there. I think there's some myth wrapped around the truth.
Well, I am going to go after the dinosaurs of New Mexico, so that's going to be interesting to explore. I can't wait for the adventure of that.
Like the Loch Ness monsters. And there's been some really good footage of that's popped up here.
Yeah, there has been some good one. Well, I have Okopogo, which is Okanagan, just where I live. Right, so there's been some.
Wasn't there recently something with the Okopogo? Just here recently that people had submitted it. I thought, and it was an older couple. They have no reason to lie.
It was off the boat, right? And they took a picture in the water, and it was just looking up at them.
Yes.
Yeah, that was interesting for sure. That was interesting. I know. I saw that footage. I'm like, wow, that's. I would love to. I interviewed a lady who was a psychic and a medium, and she used to work for the police as used to look for people who were lost or people that died. So she used to look for them, and very credible. And she said that she was on a boat, and her boyfriend at the time, in Okopogo, in Okanagan Lake, and her boyfriend dived off the boat into the water. And while she's looking at him swim down, all of a sudden beside her, this Okopogo-like kind of snake creature popped its head up, like 3 feet from her. And she turned and looked at it. And I'm pretty sure she thought to herself, please don't eat me. And then she's like, please don't eat my boyfriend. That's what she said she thought. And she said it looked very snake-like, had big brown eyes, and it had scales, and she could only see the head, and then the neck went down into the water, and then it went boom into the water and gone. So I interviewed her and filmed that, and that was amazing interview.
So now on this show, the show that you're doing, you go around and do these investigations and you interview some of these people as well?
Oh, yes. Yeah, yeah. So the Searching for Sasquatch is my journey. Each documentary show, I go and interview people, the eyewitnesses, and then they send me to the area where they saw these creatures. And then I either I go by myself or I team up with a group of investigators, and we go deep into the forest, and we go and we search the area for any sign, footprints, tree breaks, howls, eye shine, any of that stuff. And I've captured some incredible stuff.
Now I got to say this. By trade, Jason, I am a comedian and a magician. So, and
now that's funny. That is funny.
I will say this. I even have a bit in my show about Bigfoot. I really do. And it was based off a real experience in Blue Ridge, Georgia. There's a Bigfoot museum that I highly recommend. If you're ever in the area, go to this place because it is absolutely amazing. But when I went there the first time, and my wife is a very big Sasquatch fan, and like I said, I'm 50%, she's 100, But I get in this museum, Jason, and I'm going to be honest with you guys. Inside this museum in Blue Ridge, Georgia, inside of a glass case, there's about a 6-foot-long Bigfoot turd. And now I saw the funny in that right away, because I'm not dismissing it that it belonged to Bigfoot. But to me, I think it's even funner to think that some guy named Doug took a crap in the woods and blamed it on Bigfoot, and now it's in a museum.
Well, that's so funny that you say that too, because when I would speak at some of these Bigfoot shows, I would talk about finding like poop in the forest that would be odd, right? Because I'm in the middle of nowhere and there's no one around, and finding it, and that's one of the things I kind of joke about. I'm like, either it's really a Bigfoot poop and the Bigfoot is off over there laughing, going, oh, stupid blonde guy looking at my poop. Ew, he's just tasted it. Like I totally like joke about it, but that's hilarious. Has your wife seen any of my Searching for Sasquatch documentaries?
No, but you know what? We're going to watch tonight on Tubi.
I will send you the link where you can find them all. You just have to put my name, Jason Kenzie, into the search bar in Tubi, and you can find all of them. There's only one that's not on Tubi at the moment. It's on YouTube, and it's called Into the Lair of the Skunk Ape. It's Searching for Sasquatch 11. And so basically, if you just Google my name, Jason Kenzie, either animals or Sasquatch, you will find all my animal adventures. There's like 400 like short documentaries of my animal adventures. And then if you put Sasquatch, you will find all of but I'll send you the link to Tubi because it's free. And, if your wife is a big Bigfoot, lover or believer,
she's a very huge fan.
Out of me tripping and falling in the forest,
But and I always love to watch some good stuff, that you can find out there. Like I've been trying to watch the movie Legend of Boggy Creek?
Yeah.
And I haven't seen that movie yet, but I'm waiting on until I can watch it for free. I'm like, let me watch it for free. But anyways, I can't wait. And when I saw you've got a lot of stuff out on Tubi. Now, you did say just search your name and you'll pop up, but we are getting ready. We're right out of time here. The show goes by so fast, especially with our interesting guests. It always goes too fast. But Jason, is there anything you'd like to plug for the viewers or the listeners? Anything before we get out of here?
I have a website called searchingforsasquatch.ca. I do have children's books that has to do with Bigfoot. It's called Adventures of Little JJ.
Okay.
You can find that. Like I said, you just Google Jason Kenzie. I do have a book out there called Everything We Know About the Legendary Bigfoot. And when you open it, it's blank, except you can turn it into a journal. So,
cool.
And there's lots of good stuff. I'm speaking at the Sasquatch Summerfest in Oregon, which is coming up on the 19th of July. So if anyone's in Oregon and you want to come say hi, come tell me your Bigfoot experience, come say hi.
Awesome.
I'm social. So
you are based out of Canada, though, correct?
Yes.
because we've got a lot of Canadians that watch this.
Yes, I'm out of Canada. I live in just outside of Vancouver, and I'm always looking for people who want to come with me on my adventures into the forests in British Columbia.
That sounds awesome. Well, I tell you what, Jason, I'm going to search and I'm going to see this show on Tubi tonight. Me and my wife are going to watch it, and definitely, man, we got to get you back on the show. We got to get more, because I feel like there's so much more that we could talk about.
Well, I've done paranormal documentaries too.
There we go. See,
I've done 2 of them, and the third one is coming up. It has to do with the Story Inn Hotel and the Poplick Monster.
Awesome. I tell you what, Jason, this has been a blast, man. Super interesting stuff. Really cool stories too. Really cool stories. But I tell you what, guys, be sure to check out Jason. Search Jason Kenzie. It'll pop up YouTube. Check out the documentary on Tubi. Jason, thank you so much for coming on Beyond the Tinfoil Hat.
Thank you so much. You have a great one.
All right, guys. I told you this was going to be a cool one. A really cool, interesting episode. Like I said, I think this is the first Bigfoot guy that I have interviewed. So, and I've been dying to talk to somebody about these things because I'm curious. I am. I'm still very curious. And, I know there's something going on out there. I just don't know what. Guys, if you have not done so, like I said earlier, head over to Patreon, Heed the World, show us some love on Patreon, make a little donation. Also, we want to give a shout out again. Hey, welcome Susan Dismore. Welcome to Tessa, our new facilitator. Also, if you guys have not done so, be sure to like and subscribe to the podcast. Tell your friends wherever it is you listen to podcasts. Check us out. Also, subscribe and check us out here on the YouTube channel. All right, man. You can watch it while we're live streaming, or you can watch it later. But be sure to subscribe and check us out. If you guys would like to learn a little more about me, your host, Danny Whitson, yes, I am a comedian and a magician, and I believe in ghosts, Bigfoot, UFOs. I believe in all the cool stuff. But if you guys would like to learn more about me as well, head over to Instagram at Super Magic Boy, and you can give me a follow, or you can go to my website, DannyWhitsonMagic.com, and I post where I'm going to be if you'd like to catch a show. Yes, I travel everywhere. I do shows everywhere. Come out and see my show. I would love to see people in the audience who watch this show, because this is my kind of people, my favorite people. All right. I tell you what, guys, also, you cannot forget this, one of the most important parts. Okay. We are broadcasting live from the E-United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 FM in the Gulf Coast of 107.7 FM, New Orleans. Guys, this is Beyond the Tinfoil Hat. I'm your host, Danny Whitson. See you next week. All right, that does it for this episode of Beyond the Tinfoil Hat. A big shout out for tonight's awesome guest, and a bigger shout out for everyone who tuned in. And if you haven't done so yet, be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube or wherever it is you listen to your podcasts. And like always, be sure to stay curious, heed the world, and keep the paranormal normal. I'm your host, Danny Whitson, and this has been Beyond the Tinfoil Hat.